Lee Summit is your destination for big city vibes and small town charm.
Head to the downtown Lee Summit Farmers Market, where local meets fresh. Then grab a cup of coffee and discover a variety of shops and boutiques just around the corner. Continue the fun in downtown Lee Summit at a retro arcade bar. Discover your new beer at one of our 6 locally owned breweries. Cool off with some handcrafted cocktails at happy hour. End the night with live music and good company. Lee Summit, Missouri.
Hello, Lee Summit. I'm Laura Ingeman, and this is your flash briefing for the week of September 2nd. City Council meet for regular session Tuesday night, 6 in Council Chambers in City Hall. Meetings are open to the public or watch live on the city's YouTube channel. If you can't watch, catch the recorded meeting on demand on the YouTube channel or by subscribing to the Council Debrief newsletter, which breaks down 3 to 4 key agenda items. Subscribe at cityofls.net. Get excited for falling leaves and pumpkin spice season. The Fall Open House in downtown Lee Summit is this weekend, September 6th and 7th. Businesses will feature new items for autumn, and local restaurants will offer fall-themed food and drink specials. Learn more at downtownls.org. Stay connected with the city. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Already do and enjoy the videos you've been seeing? Then head to our YouTube channel and hit subscribe to see similar content. The city is seeking individuals interested in contributing to discussions that will influence property maintenance code enforcement within the city. Ideally, participants would have firsthand knowledge of Lee Summit through residency, business ownership, or property management. Submit interest by September 10th on the city's website at cityofls.net. And a reminder, city offices are closed today, September 2nd, for the holiday. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
Hello, I'm Colin McCage, and I'm here to show you how to test and adjust the water pressure in your home. Testing water pressure in a home can protect its plumbing. First, check the fixtures to see if they are leaking or if there is debris in the aerator or faucet. If no issues are found around the plumbing or fixtures, test the home's water pressure. Ensure there is no water use inside your home. Locate your front water spigot. Place a water pressure gauge on the spigot. An ideal water pressure for your home is 40 to 80 psi. Contact water utilities about the water pressure issue before adjusting. To adjust your water pressure, locate your home's pressure reducing valve, or PRV. Loosen the lock nut on the PRV with a wrench. Loosen or tighten depending if you want more or less water pressure. Tighten the lock nut once you have your desired water pressure. Thank you for watching. For more information and questions, go to lswater.net.
So many of our past successes were made possible by understanding the multitude of perspectives in our community. When we take the time to see the world through someone else's eyes, we enrich our own understanding and foster an environment where everyone can thrive. When I see the renovations we've made to our parks, I see an investment not just in essential infrastructure, but in people that builds community and directly impacts the physical and social well-being of our residents.
I see equity, inclusive playgrounds where people from all walks of life can come together.
I see a place to play.
When I see the development we have helped facilitate in our community, I see the results of solution-oriented decision-making, with job opportunities, easier access to goods and services, housing options, improved infrastructure, and increased economic growth.
I see projects created through collaboration between the city and developers that will provide value, benefit, and opportunity to the Lee Summit community.
I see growth in community and a way to connect more people to their food.
When I see the major road improvements underway, I see well-connected and safe transportation that enhances mobility and increases access to local businesses, spurring economic growth, safe deliveries to homes, and happy trips to ball games and activities.
I see improved roadways, added sidewalks, and shared use paths for pedestrians and cyclists, safe transportation and recreation for all.
I see better connectivity, increase lanes, less congestion, and just make it easier to get around.
When I see the investments we've made in public safety, I see enhanced emergency preparedness and first responders who are ready on a moment's notice to protect the community and deliver immediate life-saving care.
I see the city value its fire department employees come to fruition in recruitment, retention, and a positive culture.
I see a community that can respond to emergencies quickly. My whole family lives in Lee Summit, so there's a lot of peace of mind there.
What we do is not just about making decisions and funding budgets. It's about enriching the quality of life for all of our residents. It's about realizing that a building is not just steel and concrete, a park is not just metal and ropes, a road is not just asphalt, and a city is not just land. It's about the experiences we provide to all people of all generations and backgrounds.
This month's Council Member Spotlight is all about Mayor Bill Baird. Check it out.
I have always volunteered in the community and I was always really involved, but then I ran for school board. Whenever I got done with my term, I just felt like I had more to give. It's always been my goal from day one is to get everyone in the community connected and working together, and I always called it a spirit of community. Well, Mayor's 24/7 and I have a job. I've had to work really hard at compartmentalizing, is what I call it. So during this time, I'm going to do work. During this time, I'm going to be a mayor, even though I can get a call at any moment about mayor stuff. And so I've had to even work that much harder at setting aside time for myself or for family. So I like to exercise, I like to work out. Hillary's my wife. She actually goes to work out with me as well. And we do like to go downtown to the shops. We make sure we maximize our time together. I mean, I've got 2 kids as well, and we spend a lot of time with them, or whatever time they will give us these days. And I have a dog. I think most people kind of know me know I have to have a dog. We have so much development going on, and we're growing fairly quickly, so we have a lot of infrastructure needs, and sometimes we have gaps in infrastructure, and we've always managed to get by, but with this kind of growth, we're really having to be creative and look at our options and just have a good plan for water, sewer, roads, and more. If we want to grow the most healthy way, we need a diverse economy. We do have a lot of retail that's opened up here, and there's been new construction for retail. We really need to focus in the future on bringing some, well-paying jobs here, good, strong employers that want to be located in this incredible community of now 101,000 people. A lot of our workforce does commute to work still, so they leave Lee Summit to go to work, and it'd be nice if we could keep some of those citizens right here in our community. The times I feel most proud are actually when I'm in the community and I see the community come together.
We have Buddy in the house. Mr. Mayor!
The tree lighting is always very fun. I always feel very proud. It's just a great warm feeling. The same thing goes for when the council will do something and we come together and make a good decision together. There's been a few of those that you go home feeling like a winner. And one of them was when we put together the downtown farmer's market when we bought the land, and it became real, you know, all that hard work. But also the Diversity and Inclusion Commission, that was months and months of discussions and conversations that were really hard to have, and we went ahead and moved forward and as a council all together, and I was very, very proud of that. And there are a few things that the citizens have done that have really helped us tremendously. First, in the middle of a pandemic, they passed a use tax, which is a way for us to collect sales tax whenever someone purchases online. That helps shore up our revenues so that we can continue to provide as high quality services that our city provides. And it helps us take care of our employees, it helps us with our public safety and more. So I can't be more thankful to the citizens for that. Lee Summit has the opportunity to have a major impact on the economy in the Kansas City area. We already, as an economy, are rolling along with such a high median income. We have an amazing workforce here that are paying taxes, they're paying property taxes, they're paying sales taxes, they're keeping our economy rolling, and we really are getting the attention of all our neighbors. And I think that what's going to happen is you're going to see the opportunity for us to really get everybody's attention when businesses start moving here, bigger businesses and more so. You should try to find a way to give back to the community, whether it's at the city level, you know, citizen committees, or just participating in some of our community conversations whenever we have those opportunities. It's worth coming out of your shell or taking, you know, that leap of faith and just showing up and saying, what can I do or how can I help? The more that we do this together, the more wonderful the community is.
Thanks for watching the Lee Summit Rundown. I'm Laura Ingeman. See you next time.
This meeting of the Finance and Budget Committee for Wednesday, September 4th, 2024. Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember DeMauro?
Here.
Councilmember Carlisle?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez? Sorry, I didn't hear you correctly. I'm here.
I heard him say I'm here, but can we work on his audio for the rest of the meeting?
And Chairperson Shields.
Here. All right. We have a little bit of agenda management. Item 5D, TMP-3010, we are going to remove from the agenda because staff needs to do a little bit more work on it before it comes to us for consideration. So with that change, I would look for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Chair, I move to approve the amended agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember DeMoro, second by Councilmember Carlisle. Can we get a vote, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez.
Aye.
Councilmember Carlisle.
Aye.
Councilmember DeMoro.
Aye.
Chairwoman Shields.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez's vote was an aye, if you couldn't hear.
Okay. We can hear him barely, so. We seem to be having a little bit of technical difficulty for Mayor Pro Tem Lopez. Hopefully we will be able to hear him better in a minute, but I think we can go ahead and do public comments. Do we have any public comments today?
Chair, I've had no cards presented and none submitted in advance.
Okay. Then next item is item 5A, 2024-6451, approval of the August 5th, 2024 Finance and Budget Committee action letter. Do we have any discussion or motion?
Chair, I move to approve the August 5th, 2024 Finance and Budget Committee action letter.
Second. You guys
Have a motion to approve the action letter, and I would look for a second. If,
Second, sorry.
Okay, no worries. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the action letter. Can we have a vote, please?
Councilmember Carlisle.
Aye.
Councilmember DeMoro.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez.
Aye.
Chairperson Shields.
Aye. And I believe Mayor Pro Tem was an aye on
He was
that
an
as
aye,
well.
yes.
Okay. All right, next item is TMP-3060, an ordinance approving amendment number 15 to the budget for fiscal year ending June 30, 2024, as adopted by ordinances 9704, 9705, 9706, 9707, and 9708 by amending the authorized expenditures for the city. Mr. Gentry, you are presenting.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon. Rick Gentry, Budget Manager. Item TMP-3060, as stated, is the budget amendment number 15 for the prior fiscal year, FY24. This is a kind of a cleanup budget amendment. It's not increasing any spending authority. We're simply moving some money between some funds to clean up as we get ready to prepare for the audit, some things in last year. So the transfers involve moving funds from the ARPA funds. Those ARPA funds are federal dollars. Auditors had us move it back to the federal fund. So now for the Green Street project across the street, we're moving those dollars back to the Green Street fund because the bills have been paid to bring that fund back into balance there and show the expenditures, and we can file the final reports for those ARPA funds. Also, there's a transfer for the Sampson Road Bridge project. That was funding that Public Works received for that project, and it's ARPA dollars transferring those funds over to Fund 322 where the expenses have occurred. And then we have the VAWA grant, the Violence Against Women's Act grant. The city has expenses we incur with officers and prosecutors. We're transferring the funds that they're being reimbursed from the federal government, transferring those funds back to the general fund where they're expensed. And with that, any questions on that budget amendment?
Questions or discussion? Are we able to hear Mayor Pro Tem Lopez yet?
Can you hear me?
Still just barely. Do you have any questions?
No.
All right, that makes it easy then. Then I would look for a motion.
I would move TMP-3060 on to City Council for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to recommend TMP-3060 to City Council for approval. Can we get a vote, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez.
Aye.
His vote was an aye. Councilmember DeMoro.
Aye.
Councilmember Carlisle. Aye. Chairperson Shields.
Aye. All right, that passes. Next item is TMP-3094, an ordinance approving amendment number 2 to the budget for fiscal year ending June 30, 2025, as adopted by ordinances 9936, 9937, 9938, 9939, and 9940 by amending the authorized expenditures for the city. Mr. Gentry again.
Thank you, Chair. This is a budget amendment number 2 to the current FY25 budget. This is addressing the need to increase spending authority for the Business and Industry Fund related to the passage of the PSA agreements between Downtown Lee Summit and the Lee Summit Visitors Bureau. Now it's got a real name there. So we're transferring or increasing the spending authority in the business and industry for $60,000 because an initial $60,000 in there for the downtown Lee Summit Main Street. So that takes it up to its full allotment of $120,000 for the year, and $395,000 for the Lee Summit Visitors Bureau. Also included in the amendment is the addition of 1 full-time FTE position to the administration department. As that organization gets up and going, we're going to have the executive director within the admin department. So we're going to add that position in there, and we're adding the spending authority for that position. So that's salary benefits for that position. And to offset that, we're adding a revenue coming into the general fund to pay for that position. So it'll be a wash, so it will not be an increase in the impact on the general fund budget. So it'll be a net zero change. Okay. Questions?
I just had one question. So the downtown funding, originally we had passed interim funding for them just for a few months, and then we went and passed for the full year. So is it transferring in 60, or is it more than that since we hadn't passed their full year funding yet?
So for the downtown, so downtown, there were $60,000 included in the budget, which is what they'd been getting for several years.
Gotcha.
So we went to 120, so we're increasing it 120,000 to make.
Because we had already earmarked that, even though we didn't have the PSA finalized yet.
Correct,
Gotcha.
yes. Yeah,
Okay.
we just moved it forward that way, yes, because we already had that part in the budget.
I appreciate the clarification. Unless we have any further questions, I would look for a motion.
Chair, I move to advance TMP-3094 to the full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to recommend TMP-3094 to council for approval. Can we get a vote, please?
Councilmember DeMauro?
Aye.
Councilmember Carlisle?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez?
Aye.
His vote was an aye. Chairman Shields?
Aye. Next item, we are skipping D as we amended the agenda, so we're moving on to item E, TMP-3058, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of 1 custom-built special services bomb response unit from LDV Inc. through the use of Houston-Galveston Area Council HGAC contract number AM10-23 and authorizing the city manager to execute all necessary documents by and on behalf of the city.
Good afternoon, Chair. Mark Stinson, Fleet Manager. This unit is replacing one that is currently in service, has been since 2005. It's reached the end of its anticipated life. It is a custom unit, custom-built unit, and is much similar to what we are replacing. So it is purchased through a contract that we have in place currently through HGAC, Houston-Galveston Area Council. We routinely use those contracts for big purchases like this. So, at that time, it's kind of straightforward, but I'll be glad to answer any questions that I can.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? This is through VERP funds or?
That's correct. It is through VERP funds.
Okay, so just planned replacement.
Yes.
Carlisle, please.
Thank you. This is kind of a silly question, but what do we do with the old one?
It will go on the open market for sale. I'll probably reach out to a few specialty areas that buy these type of specialized equipment.
So you're saying that I can't bid?
Well, you'd have to ask the city manager that one. I'm not going there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Mayor Pro Tem Lopez, did you have any questions?
Good.
All right. I would look for a motion unless there's any further discussion.
Chair,
Yes.
I would move TMP 3058 onto full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to recommend TMP 3058 to City Council for approval. Can we get a vote, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez.
Aye.
His vote's an aye. Councilmember Carlisle.
Aye.
Councilmember DeMoro.
Aye.
Chair Shields.
Aye. All right, next item on our agenda is TMP 3088, an ordinance authorizing the execution of 2 grant agreements between the State of Missouri through its Department of Transportation, Traffic and Highway and Safety Division and the City of Lee Summit, Missouri for the Missouri Highway Safety Program.
Major Mark Liebig with the Police Department. The ordinance in front of you is in regarding 2 grants that we get every year from the Missouri Department of Transportation. They fund enhanced enforcement in our high crash areas and also enhanced enforcement for DWI enforcement. And we also typically get a little bit for equipment through these same grants as well. I'll take any questions you might have.
You guys going after that grant? So, Mayor Pro Tem Lopez, do you have any questions?
No.
Oh, we can hear you now. It's exciting.
Hey.
All right, I would look for a motion, please.
Chair, I move to advance to full council with a recommendation of approval TMP 3088.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember DeMoro and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Lopez to advance TMP 3088 to City Council with a recommendation for approval. Can we get a vote, please?
Councilmember Carlisle.
Aye.
Councilmember DeMoro.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez.
Aye.
Chair Shields.
Aye. All right, next item is TMP 3102, an ordinance approving the award of bid number 2025-001 for the purchase and installation, maintenance, and repair service of heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems for a 1-year term with up to 4 one-year renewals to ACS Building Services, LLC, contract number 2025-001, and authorizing the city manager to execute the same by and on behalf of the city.
Good afternoon, Brian Page, Facilities Manager. Pretty simple. We've been under an on-call agreement for HVAC services for the last 5 years. That expired. We followed the bid process, selected a new vendor. Actually, it's the same vendor. They were the low bid. And so we're just asking for renewal of that. And it is in the ordinance, but we do anticipate spending more than $75,000 a year with these contractors.
Have any questions or discussion? All right, hearing none, I would look for a motion.
Chair,
Yes.
now that you can hear me,
Yes.
I can sing if you guys want me to, but I don't think you want to hear me sing. I move to recommend for approval TMP-3102, an ordinance approving the award of bid number 2025-001 for the purchase and installation, maintenance, and repair services of heating, ventilation, air conditioning systems for a 1-year term with up to 4 one-year renewals to ACS Building Services, LLC, contract number 2025-001, and authorizing the city manager to execute the same by and on behalf of the city.
Second.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Lopez, second by Councilmember DeMoro to move TMP 3102 to City Council with recommendation of approval. Can we get a vote, please?
Councilmember Carlisle.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez.
Aye.
Councilmember DeMoro.
Aye.
Chair Shields.
Aye. All right, next item is TMP 3106, an ordinance approving the calendar year 2025 employee benefit programs, approving agreements for services by and between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and Cigna Health and Life Insurance Company, Metropolitan Life Insurance Company, Hartford Life and Accident Insurance Company, CuraLinc LLC, Navia Benefit Solutions, and Trustmark Insurance Company, and authorizing the city manager to execute agreements and other documents as necessary to administer employee benefits for calendar year 2025 by and on behalf of the city.
Good afternoon. Jennifer Vargo, Interim Director for Human Resources. We're here to ask for approval for our ordinance for our employee benefit programs for 2025. I'd like to introduce Matt Wheeler. He is the Vice President of Client Services for Holmes Murphy. And Matt and the Holmes Murphy team have been a part of our benefit plan renewal with the city for almost 10 years now. So he is going to help lead a presentation and discussion on our renewal for next year. Thank you. Jennifer, is that yours or is this one? Oh. Okay, good.
Good afternoon, Matt Wheeler, Holmes Murphy. Pleasure to see everyone again. Today we had an opportunity to present this presentation to the management team. We took about 45 minutes just talking about the overall healthcare landscape, some history, some context, as well as the specific renewal. We'll try to just do a 10 to 15 minute summary today, highlights, and then answer any questions you may have. But it was a good opportunity. Most of the lines of coverage are renewing with no rate change, with the exception of medical. It had a rate cap with some upwards claims pressures. We'll talk about that. So it was a good opportunity to take some time with the management team and spend some time on history, some renewal protocol for how the city normally sets budgets, looks at contributions, considers plan design changes or carriers, as well as just general level setting around the plan and its profile. So we'll give you just a brief snapshot of what that conversation was like. We spent some time talking about what the City of Lee Summit Health Plan profile looks like. It's summarized here. The health plan here at the City of Lee Summit covers almost 700 employees. It covers almost 1,500 dependents, and that's been pretty stable over 10 years or so. We can see here just the average age of folks covered. The average age of members covered on the city's plan is just a little bit higher than normal. What comes along with that is some higher than normal pharmacy use as well, which is a driver we spent some time talking about today. We spent some time talking about the distribution of plans here in the city. 60% of folks are in PPO options, 40% in high deductible health plan. We talked about size and scope of the plan. The city pays in total about $12.7 million, looking straight backwards 12 months in premium for the healthcare coverage. The claims liability has been $13.1 million over that same 12-month time period, which was some of the headwinds that we talked about from a claims performance standpoint. And then at the bottom, we summarized a little bit how claims compared versus our overall book of business. A little bit higher than our book. That's not to be unexpected with the demography that we have in place here. So that was just some general information on the profile of the plan. For the management team, because not everybody in that room has been involved for a lot of years, so we wanted to spend some time talking about historical protocol for renewal. I think there was just some outstanding questions about how is the renewal handled if there's big increases, if there's small increases, if it's above budget, if it's below budget. So we spent some time talking about what the general process is for targeting budgets, for anticipation for renewal, what happens when that renewal comes at or under budget versus when it comes over budget. So on the, I think, third bullet point and fourth bullet point on this page, we spent some, fourth and fifth rather, we spent some time talking about 2018 and 2020, which were two particular years where the renewal positioning was over targeted budget. In one of those years, the different stakeholders here at the city decided to, one, stay with the incumbent carrier in 2018 with some minor payroll changes that they absorbed beyond the city budget. In 2020, those same stakeholders decided to make a move to Cigna because the gap in pricing was too big. And what's been consistent throughout that whole time is to protect benefit integrity for the employees of the city and their families. So really over the course of our relationship with the city, really for close to a decade, the general plan design, other than IRS mandates on the high deductible health plan, has been very consistent over that time. So it's provided a very good landing place for folks to use for protection from deductibles, coinsurance, and copays, and the costs that they would have presented. We talked towards the end of this exhibit about what the last 5 years has looked like from a healthcare perspective. The average increase has been just below 7% over the last 5 years, which has been really healthy, which is below where healthcare inflation has been. And then we talked a little bit about the 24 and 25 renewal. There are some headwinds. There were some headwinds going into 24. There was marketing done going into 2024, anticipating that there was going to be some significant claims above premium. At the time, Blue Cross was a good alternative to where Cigna was last year. Cigna ultimately retained the business last year, and part of the fruit of that was establishing a rate cap or an increase no more than going into 25 of 9.5%. So it was the marketing effort that ultimately yielded that. getting second-year rate caps is very rare in today's environment with the healthcare volatility, but that is definitely coming into play in the 25 renewal, and we'll hit on that here in a moment. That was some historical context for the management team. We also spent some time talking about just what's happening in the healthcare and pharmacy ecosystem today. We're really in unprecedented times with a lot of the healthcare inflators and pharmacy inflators that exist with very little to offset them. So just like other segments of our economy, healthcare is really battling an inflation challenge, but even worse than what we're seeing in other segments. There's a lot of macro reasons like Medicare prevalence growth and enrollment, which shifts costs over to employer-based plans. In Kansas City, we've had a lot of hospital consolidation, which is impacting the pricing landscape locally. We've historically been a low medical cost town. That's going to begin to shift with some of the influencers that are out there. Humana left the marketplace 3 years ago, so now we're down to 4 major insurers locally. Protecting that integrity and competition is really important. So there's a lot of challenges that are going on in the healthcare marketplace that are driving this. The city's insurer is Cigna. Earlier this year, Cigna and HCA, which is the owner of several key hospitals that members here on the plan use, had a kind of just publicly aired dispute around contract pricing that got resolved. But we anticipate to see a lot more of that in the coming year. So that's a lot of the macro healthcare reality. We wanted to spend some time with that team as well, just to talk about general pricing. How is a premium determined when it comes to a healthcare contract? If the premium today is $1, how is it determined what it's going to cost tomorrow? So we talked about it in basic terms. It's 2 main things. In the yellow circle on this page is how is the contract performing today versus what the target is? Is it below target? Is it at target? Is it above? So that requires an adjustment if it's not at target. We talked about the reality that the city's premium and claims are right on top of one another. So effectively, Cigna is not gathering any administrative expenses for their services, so that would result in an 8% adjustment for their expenses. The blue circle here is inflation. So right now, healthcare inflation is just over double digits per year. So there's 18 months to the end of 25. If you added an 8% adjustment plus inflation over 18 months, that would be a 26% calculation. Now, calculated is a relative term. We spent some time talking about that as well as a team. The city has not received inflation calculated renewals in our history of working with you. The reality is in Kansas City, because of the competition, usually those formulas are discounted by 40% on average in our book of business. For the city in the last 5, it's been a 60% discounting methodology from inflation, which has been a positive outcome, which is why the renewals have been less than 7% over that time. In this particular situation, with the 9.5% rate cap and a calculation of 26, Cigna ultimately said the cap is the number for 2025. So we talked about how that calculation was structured today. We spent some time talking about the broad offering of benefits here in the city. As noted, all of these things, with the exception of the medical, are under rate guarantee. So there is no change in pricing in the rest of lines of coverage for 2025. So medical is the one line of coverage that is really seeing a price adjustment for 25. We then spent just a brief amount of time talking about the overall claims performance. On this particular slide, you can see in the horizontal turquoise line where the contract target for claims is. In the green line here, you can see where the plan is actually performing at 8% over that targeted outcome, which is where if you adjust that back to normal and then add inflation over 18 months is where you start getting double-digit increases. Because of the cap, that's not coming into play, but that's where claims performance is at present. This exhibit just simply shows where the baseline of claims has been. There was a pretty significant claims jump in the most recent 12 months. It was heavily tied to some large claimants that occurred on the plan that may or may not kind of revert to the mean as in the coming months, but it was definitely an influencer in the overall renewal position. This exhibit just gives you kind of a snapshot, kind of replicate a little how Cigna underwrites it. We kind of truncated some of the line items because there's a lot that goes into it. We underwrite it ourselves following their methodology to understand where they're coming from, not that there aren't counter arguments and positions. Again, the normative outcome with Cigna in the last 5 years has been to discount their calc by 60%. In this particular case, we had forecast using their methodology that it was going to be high teens to low 20s. They made some adjustments in their calculation due to pharmacy inflation and some other line items that made it actually worse than we anticipated. If they had been consistent and you applied a 60% discounting methodology to that 26%, it might have landed around 12 or 13. The cap was 9.5, so ultimately that's where the medical positioning fell. For the city, the way that contributions and rates are structured, we'll hit on the next couple of slides. Here, this just summarizes the overall premium exposure at 9.5% year over year. This is total premium paid. Employees, once you consider their contributions, would offset about 20% of the overall expense that is associated here. So for the $1.2 million in premium, that's going to be roughly $1 million in additional healthcare spend to the city and about $230,000 or so to the employees from their associated contributions. Those are summarized on this slide. This is all based upon the city cost sharing and subsidy formula. It's tied to the base PPO. City subsidizes 90% of employee-only coverage and 75% of the dependent tiers, and that's how the contributions are determined on this particular slide. For employee-only coverage, it ranges from a $0 to an $18 increase per month. For families, that ranges from $29 to $78 monthly for their family premiums would be the impact to employees. This gives a brief historical overview of Cigna's relationship and how their methodology, we spent some time talking about where their releases were and their discounting methodology. You can see that movement reality on the lower right-hand side of this equation. There has been some tightening of the marketplace this year we've seen across the board, where we anticipate by the time this January 1st renewal cycle is done that our book of business will not have an average 40% discounting output. We've seen a lot of underwriters and insurers just simply refusing or not taking the opportunity to quote on business when they're not comfortable with the risk. So we're glad the rate cap was in place this year. It does give us pause for 26. Hopefully there's some stabilizing of the market circumstances in the coming months, but we'll be prepared to attack what 26 may look like as we can. We spent some detail just talking about the contract itself. The one other item that we wanted to mention as well is on the short-term disability front. Historically, the HR team has processed short-term disability leave claims for city employees. That is going to continue to be the case. The recommendation or the proposal from that team is to engage the existing administrator to also give them advice. That's the LTD administrator, give them advice on the short-term claims, so that they can see the request for leave from the physician, that they can corroborate that that is an approved leave, and this would be operated on a per-claim basis so that they make sure that the employee gets the leave that they ought, and that the physicians are also making the appropriate recommendations for the funds that are paid out by the city for those short-term disability leaves. And I'll pause there for questions that the council may have, that the committee may have. Yeah.
Do we have any questions at this point? Is there more presentation or? Okay. So basically what I'm hearing is currently this past year, the employees had a higher amount of claims than they paid than the city overall paid in premiums, right? So that's why we're looking at an increase between inflation and the fact that the insurance company actually took in less money than they paid out. We're going to have an increase, but we're capped at that 9.8, was it?
9.5.
9.5.
Yes.
But next year, we're looking at probably having some more significant issues.
Next year, there's no cap in place.
Right.
We talked a little bit about that with the management team today. Some of the, certainly accounting and finance team was there. And so if historically the city has budgeted mid-single digits to 10% as a worst-case scenario, as that's forecast, there's a lot of water to go under the bridge between now and then. But sitting here today, looking at where the claims versus premium is positioned, where healthcare inflation is in actuality, then maybe what we talked about today, that maybe a more conservative floor to set for 26, even if that doesn't come to fruition, would be maybe 15% as a placeholder to give some runway there within the budget and hope to meet that and better it. But that would be probably a more conservative floor given where the data is and the premiums position today.
In dollars, how much is that, like a 15% increase?
If today, so if the $1.2 million today is 10%, so another 5 on top of that would be, so that's $1.8 million in total in rough math.
Is that something that, I assume staff is already thinking about, is that something that we feel able to handle, or are different options being looked at for what insurance coverage might look like going forward?
Yeah, so I think those are some of the discussions that our interim HR director and benefits person are having with the city manager and with city staff, and then budget offices, of course, looking at how that's going to impact us on budget potentially next year. So,
and then I know a lot of work's been done with employees about employee satisfaction. I forgot exactly what Mr. Dunning's program was called, but I know a lot of work has been done trying to understand what people need, what they value out of their jobs. Will work be done like that in terms of insurance coverage? Like if you had to choose between going to a high deductible plan or paying more in premiums or this, that, or the other, is it we're kind of looking at employee preferences too, or would that just be a management level decision, or what would happen there?
So the program you're referencing is the attraction, satisfaction, and retention ASR teams that we've had. There's more work to be done in that area. I think, we originally asked them to give us their top 3 preferences from their work that they had done in committee. So certainly once, we've got a lot of work going on with those items, but then taking a deeper dive and seeing what's next on that list. I think that that's probably something that, that I would think that our interim HR director is thinking about. And obviously when we have these conversations, we have bargaining units, we have employee groups that we need to talk to as well. So yes, it's all considerations that we need to, So it's more work to be done, as we go into the budgeting cycle this year, so.
Challenging position, and obviously for the record, for anyone in the public, city council members don't get employee health insurance, so or any other benefits. So we're just wanting to make sure that we're looking out for the employees, but we don't get any personal stake in it.
And I not to speak for our city manager, but I know he's very in tune with, he's very team-oriented and wants to include employees in conversations about, any changes that we would potentially make, so.
I appreciate that. I don't feel like any of my jobs that they've ever really asked us what we thought about it, so I think it's good that you're having those conversations. Yep. Do we have any other questions or discussion?
I move to advance to the City Council with a recommendation of approval at TMP-3106.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember DeMoro, second by Councilmember Carlisle to recommend TMP-3106 to City Council for approval. Can we get a vote, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez.
Aye.
Councilmember DeMoro.
Aye.
Councilmember Carlisle.
Aye.
Chair Shields.
Aye. All right. Next item on our agenda is TMP-3107, an ordinance approving an intergovernmental agreement by and between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri, by and through the Lee Summit Parks and Recreation Board and the Junior College District of Metropolitan, Kansas City, Missouri, for the purchase and sale of approximately 13.1 acres of land at Longview Community College and authorizing the mayor to execute the same. Of Mr. Snook? All right.
Evening, Joe Snook, Administrator of Parks and Recreation. So before you this evening is an ordinance to finalize the purchase for about 13 acres of land at Longview Community College. It's the land, currently there's a baseball field on it, but it's the land just directly south of the community center. This also includes the purchase of the south half of that parking lot that is on that side also. Happy to answer any questions you may have related to this purchase.
Do we have any questions from the committee?
Couple questions. Mr. Snook, I assume, and you'll tell me if I'm right, this is for the pickleball complex that the Parks Board had talked about, and I don't know, a multi-sport facility, right?
Well, so we are in the process of starting a master plan for that entire space. But yes, the outdoor pickleball court complex is slated to go at that location. Part of the reason for the master plan process is we do have a lot of other needs in the park system. We do not have a lot of amenities out on the west side of town. So we want to make sure that we just do our due diligence and take a look at all the options that could be amenities that could be added to that location, knowing that the pickleball courts will be the driving part of the design for the master plan. But yes, the outdoor pickleball court complex will be located there. There may be other future amenities at that location also.
And is this purchase going to come out of the construction fund? I don't know.
So the purchase of the property will come from the sales tax, the quarter-cent sales tax, yes.
Yeah. I didn't know if it directly out of construction fund, or you're just going to move money around or what? That's, I guess, basically.
So it'll come out of the sales tax money, which I don't know that we'll transfer that to the construction fund. I don't know the intricacies of that. But I've been in the pickleball court complex will also come from the quarter-cent sales tax.
And then, do you have, at this time, a total budget on that, or is it too early to talk about?
For the pickleball court complex?
Yeah.
I believe the CIP, we have a budget of a little over $1 million for the pickleball court complex.
Okay.
So that does not include the land purchase price that we're talking about.
All right. Well, that's all the questions I had. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Chair.
Any other questions from the committee? Like you hit the ones I was going to ask, so.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Absolutely.
Yep. It's exciting. If everything goes well, we'll hopefully have those pickleball courts available by late summer of next year or early fall. So about a year away.
If there's no further discussion, I would look for motion.
Chair,
Yes.
I move to recommend for approval to City Council TMP-3107, an ordinance approving an intergovernmental agreement by and between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri, by and through Lee Summit Parks and Recreation Board, and the Junior College District of Metropolitan Kansas City, Missouri, for the purchase and sale of approximately 13.1 acres of land at the Longview Community College, and authorizing the mayor to execute the same.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Lopez, second by Councilmember Carlisle, to recommend TMP-3107 to council for approval. Can we get a vote, please?
Councilmember DeMoro?
Aye.
Councilmember Carlisle?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez?
Aye.
Chair Shields?
Aye. All right, next item on our agenda is TMP-3089, an ordinance approving a contractual services agreement, hosting service agreement, maintenance agreement, and bronze level service membership with N. Harris Computer Corporation for CityView software, and authorizing the city manager to execute the same for the city.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Josh Johnson, Director of Development Services. As three of you will remember, in August, I came forward with this same ordinance. Unfortunately, I kind of transposed a couple numbers, and I found something where there was the same amount in two different agreements, so it made the totals off. And so after talking to our attorney here, he recommended the cleanest thing is just to come back to the committee. We didn't want to be juggling, explaining through this late at a council meeting, so we thought this was the best option. Now, Mayor Pro Tem Lopez was not at the August meeting, so I was wondering, kind of take a high level through the overall presentation, and then at the end, I've got a chart comparing the differences in the numbers. Would that?
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Okay. So CityView is a software that Development Services uses for permit tracking, the public hearing schedule, our neighborhood services complaints. Basically, when a complaint comes in, It tells a neighborhood services officer, go to this location in 3 days, look at it, determine if there is a violation, all the way to a building inspector, oh, hey, the foundation's about to go in, go look at the forms, things of that nature. Almost every area of our business as a department runs through that software. Business licensing even goes through there. So this is an upgrade to, by the same company we're working with now. It's called the Harris Computer Corporation. It moves this software into an internet cloud-based solution, and that's also where the data would be stored in the cloud, so to speak. So you'll see a hosting agreement as a part of this. So tonight, there's a variety of agreements that are packaged in this ordinance, and I'm going to spend a slide on each of these to talk through what they are and what they're doing, and then at the end, like I said, I'll square up those numbers for you. Big takeaway, though, to set up, we're still within the overall project budget that was allocated for this fiscal year. So contractual service agreement, it's what sets the stage for the upgrade and includes a series of licenses, things of that. It integrates the system with Office, which we don't have right now. Good thing about that is we've got some employees that are in partner departments, if you will. They don't really turn this on every day, but once in a while there's a task that's fired off. It'll appear in their Outlook now. It's more of a reminder that would apply to everyone that uses this system. C-Click Fix integration, that's our LS Connect app. When you take a picture of something that's supposed to go to neighborhood services right now, one of our admin staff has to, in the middle of that, go, okay, and then they enter it into this software. This upgrade pays for that integration to directly go between the two systems. That also leads to some confusion because we close it out in LS Connect, and then whoever complains, like, what do you mean it's closed out? So there's just a little bit better communication with residents here in Lee Summit. Electronic plan review, that's going to be great for our private sector customers. Imagine you've got a set of building plans. We find something wrong with it or something needs to be corrected. Right now we're typing that in a narrative format outside the system because there's no Office integration now, and the spelling and grammar check in the system's not great. So it'll be done in Word, it'll go into Word, but with electronic plan review, we can circle a part of the drawing and say, this needs to be 4 feet wide or something like that. That'll appear on the drawings to the applicant, more of a visual, picture's worth 1,000 words situation. This also includes 40 hours of training. The hosting agreement, this is pushing the system into the cloud. Right now, everybody that has this software on their computer, IT has to go and install it on there. This would upgrade that to an internet-based software like a lot of the things we probably all use in our private lives, where you can log in from a browser. And our data is hosted offsite now. That does include a insurance provision about protecting our data, getting things restored if there is an outage. That amount, there's a 4% escalation that lasts for that's a yearly escalation for 10 years. Procurement was able to talk them down from 5%, so we were able to save a little money. Not nearly as dire as the insurance picture. Maintenance, it's a yearly maintenance fee that basically we work with CityView, and they're helping us perform upgrades if we need customizations, things like that. Again, priority response. And that, again, like the last one, it's a 4% escalator, but this is a 10-year contract that auto-renews on the yearly basis. Bronze membership. This is a bit of an upgraded provision. We're trying it out for 1 year. There's no auto-renewal. They pay for registration for one person to go to their conference for this software. They perform a health check with us. That's a fancy name for a meeting where we tell them some things we're contemplating or some improvements we made, or we describe a process we're doing, and then they, as the people that have authored this software, can advise us, hey, there's a better way to do that. Again, trying that out for 1 year, so that's a one-time fee as a part of this. So on the left of your screen is what I presented in August, and on the right is what I'm bringing tonight with some corrected amounts. One thing is, the 48 here, that was actually 45, so there's a $3,000 differential there. there was a maintenance amount in this total licensing amount here, $18,000. That was one of the items I did not catch, but then when we looked at it, it was in the maintenance agreement, the overall maintenance agreement down here. So we had that stricken from that licensing agreement. The net result of this is there is more of an overall, the ask tonight. But as I mentioned back in August, we have maintenance for the software in case there's no change of around $93,000. So that kind of, I'll say, comes out of this, so to speak. So again, the net total of that we're paying out that wasn't in the budget is $331,000. The budget for the project was $343,000. And our annual spend is the $165,000, almost $900. That $3,000 difference is my typo there. So that's why I'm back with this. We are asking your patience with us for having to do that, and also your approval so this can be first and second read at the next available council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Do we have any questions from the committee?
Thank you, Chair. Josh, will I assume there will be a backup feature. Will that be on the vendor's cloud or will that be internal?
Yeah, the data is backed up at a regular interval, so if there is a problem, we can get our data retrieved.
But will it be internal or on the vendor's cloud? I mean,
Vendor.
Okay. And then will the employees have remote access when they're out in the field to this, or do they have to come back and log in and use it?
It'll work like it does now. So the way it works now is our inspectors have something, it's called a MiFi card for their laptop. And it's just, think of it like a better cell antenna than just connecting to their own phone. Because as you might imagine, we're doing construction in areas of the city that may not have cell towers yet. It would work like that. They'll still have a laptop, but they'll log in through a browser. This wouldn't really affect in a positive or negative manner our connectivity.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Chair.
Other questions from the committee? Then I would look for a motion.
I would move TMP-3089 onto full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Carlisle, second by Councilmember DeMoro to recommend TMP-3089 to City Council for approval. Can we get a vote, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez.
Aye.
Councilmember DeMoro.
Aye.
Councilmember Carlisle.
Aye.
Chair Shields.
Aye. All right. Next item on our agenda is 2024-6488, a report on the investment portfolio, reports for quarter ended June 30, 2024.
Good afternoon, Susan Brockhouse, Cash Management Officer, and I'm pleased to present the investment portfolio summary for the quarter ended June 30, 2024. As of June 30, 2024, the market value of our total portfolio is $297,335,683, and of that total, 73.1% is invested in U.S. Treasury securities, 13.2% in U.S. government agency securities, 5.2% in demand deposits, and the remaining 8.5% in general obligation bond proceeds that have not yet been expended. Funds are invested with safety and liquidity as the primary objectives. They are invested in a manner to provide a market rate of return while meeting the daily cash flow needs of the city. The city has continued its efforts to capitalize on higher yields by extending our investment maturities. If you look at the chart in front of you, as of June 30th, we had 26.7% of our total investments with maturities that were between 3 to 5 years. As a reminder, with the exception of repurchase agreements, maturities for investments can be up to 5 years from the purchase date. During the quarter ended June 30, there were a total of 6 maturities with a total par value of $22 million. Yields of these maturities ranged from 0.42% to 0.905%. During that same quarter, we purchased 4 new securities with a total par value of $21 million, with yields ranging from 4.383% to 4.894%. Our investment bids are competitively bid with request bids submitted to the eight institutions on our city's approved bidders list. We typically receive 6 to 7 responses for each bid that we let out. In accordance with GASB requirements, we did make a mark-to-market adjustment at quarter end of nearly $1.2 million. However, the fiscal year-to-date mark-to-market adjustment was negative $512,318.08. What we're finding as new higher interest investments have replaced our lower rated maturities, we're finding that there's really less of an impact in that mark-to-market adjustment. And of course, it is the city's general operating practice to buy and hold our securities until maturity so that we're avoiding any loss on our sale of our securities. Any questions?
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the committee?
Thank you.
Report. Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is roundtable. Does anyone have any roundtable items? The only thing that I would mention is, as I said in yesterday's council meeting, the EDC is still working towards being in a position to request a PSA. I'm not 100% sure if that's going to come through Finance and Budget or go straight to City Council. I think it's going to come through Finance and Budget. I think that's the plan. Looks like staff is kind of nodding along there, so that may be at one of our upcoming meetings. I'm hopeful that they'll be in a position to request that soon based on the progress they've been making, so.
Did they have any idea? I know it's a.
So they had certain items in their letter agreement with us that they needed to meet benchmarks, and they've basically met all of those except for invoicing the investors. And in yesterday's meeting, the one right before the council meeting, the EDC board met also, they were going over the investor pricing tier structure, you know, like if you want to be a benefactor versus a, I forget. And so they were finalizing that and then trying to get invoices out in September or October. Urging them to try to get those out in September. I think there's just logistical challenges to getting all their systems up and running and all the data and putting it all together. But that's a long way of saying I think that they're on target where they could possibly hit our October meeting, but I could easily see it slipping to November or December if they don't quite get all that together, because it's just a...
Well, invoices going out,
that's... They've done the other things in terms of adopting new bylaws, reconstituting the boards, resuming light programming. You know, they're doing their... Roundtable from staff.
I think the only thing I'd like to share is that we have a new finance director that will be starting on Monday, September 9th. So excited to have her join our team. Yes. So her name is Brianna Burrichter, and so she is actually a resident of Lee Summit and went through high school here in Lee Summit, but she is coming to us from the city of Olathe, Kansas. So. Yes.
Meeting at 4:53. I was on the mic for any of that. We're adjourning 4:53.